Today I'm going to be performing a scissor cut. I've done over 5,000 scissor cuts over the years, and I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I get it done. Equipment wise, you're going to need your comb, your scissors, a spray and your doll's head. So first things first, you want to wet your doll's head down. I call this doll's head bob. Don't ask why, but it's stuck. Make sure the water covers your client's hair nice and evenly. When you wet the hair down, you can influence the hair way more than when it's dry, especially for scissor cuts. You can't get away with doing scissor cuts dry. So just comb your client's hair through like so. We'll do the other side as well. Now I'm going to show you how to do a middle parting. When it comes to sectioning, the middle parting is the foundation to so many of your scissor cuts. And I'll show you how to do the perfect middle parting. Firstly, you need to make sure your feet are shoulder width apart. Your chest is up, your chin is up. You're using your client's nose as a reference point for the middle. So you want to get your finger, as that's going to drive the power behind the comb. The teeth of the comb should be facing upwards, and then you want to come all the way back through the middle of their hair, from the forehead to the crown. When you get to the crown, when the hair starts to dip, then put your left hand as tension, and then get your comb nice and flat and start combing to the right, like so. And then put your left hand on the right hand side of the head and comb to the left, and that will give you a nice clean middle parting. That's your first step and your first section. Now you want to do a middle parting at the back of the head. Where the head curves, that's where the crown is. So you can see the curves here. So that's the top of the crown. So same principle, you want to drive the comb down now. The teeth of the comb are facing the floor, and you want to come through, drive it all the way down. Use your comb to scoop the hair to the right like so. You'll see a break there where the middle parting is. Then you want to step to the right. Use your teeth of the comb like so, nice and flat. And comb the hair into your left hand, and then push the hair, giving you a nice middle parting at the back. At the back, your client said you're going to do 6 sections from the bottom to the crown area. So we're going to do our first section here. Use the teeth of your comb to direct a nice clean line. So that'll be your first section. Let the hair drop down, okay? And then, to ensure you have a nice clean area for you to work on, you want to get all of this hair out of the way, so twist it up, like so. And you want to clip the hair out of the way, giving you a nice clean canvas for you to concentrate on and work on. As we're doing small sections, you want to use the small teeth of your comb, scoop the hair towards you to pick your hair up that you're going to be cutting. And this is where you're going to determine the length that you choose. Just to get the right tension, I'm still bringing the hair back. If you just go like this straight away and try and hit it, you're relying on luck really. So you want to make sure that the tension's nice and firm before you start cutting. Just transfer your comb into the left hand, and then make sure the hair is laying nice and flat into your hand like so. Then you want to cut all the way along towards your knuckle, and don't go past your knuckle. If you start cutting in to your hand, you're going to cut yourself. Alright, then you want to move to the left. As you move along, you just want to follow your guide. The key to scissor cuts is making sure that when you get the tension, the hair lays in its natural position. For example, the hair without tension is going to lay like so. But if you redirect it away from where it sits, it's going to be a problem. So if you cut it like so, when you bring it round, it's going to be the wrong length. So as you come to the left, start angling down towards the left and just follow your guide. Nice and simple, guys. Then repeat the process on your right hand side. Come around to the right, like that. Each time, before you go up, you just want to go along the bottom and point cut so that it's nice and smooth. You just want to go over it a few times just to make sure it's nice and clean before moving on. Now we're going to be moving up. We're happy with the first of 6 sections. Now you want to get the teeth of your comb, repeat the process again, push the hair to the right, and then comb your second section down. And you can clearly see where the guide is and what needs to come off. What you want to do is pinch the hair, flip the hair out with your comb, and we're using our guide to direct how much length is going to come off. You can see me repeating this process over and over just to get the right amount of tension. That's where your guide is. And then work your way over. A common mistake a lot of barbers make is doing that and then trying to chop off too much. As you can see, all of the hair in the corner is really creased up. So as you put it back, it's going to be uneven. But now that sits nice and clean. And we're starting to take shape. The length's in there. Right, this is section number 3 now. Nice thin sections, guys. The more accurate your sections, the more detailed your haircut's going to be. And the details make all the difference. How you cross-check your scissor length is literally just gauging the fill. So I can see that this is nice and even now. And you just want to go over your sections one more time, just to double check your work, go along the bottom, get into good habits, and then we can start moving from your first panel upwards. Then, as you move along, you just want to follow your guide. The key to scissor cuts is making sure that when you get the tension, the hair lays in its natural position. For example, the hair without tension is going to lay like so. But if you redirect it away from where it sits, it's going to be a problem. So as you come to the left, start angling down towards the left and just follow your guide. Nice and simple, guys. And then repeat the process on your right hand side. Come around to the right. You just want to go along the bottom and point cut so that it's nice and smooth. It's like when you shape up someone's hair, you just want to go over it a few times just to make sure it's nice and clean before moving on. We're just repeating the same process now. And we just want to double check the length throughout. So to me, the right side looks a little bit longer than the left side, so we're just going to come through that and even it out ever so slightly. That's why you have to be checking your work all the time. This is section number 4. It's the same principle. If you're shaping someone's hair up, you want to take a step back and check it before you keep on straightening out the hair each time. In between each of your 6 sections, keep on wetting the hair down and make sure you're doing nice and neat sections whilst working up towards the back of the head, towards the crown. And before you move on to the side panels, completely check your work over. Once you're happy, move on from there. Before you move on to the sides, just check that the back is nice and even. So the right side seems to be a tiny bit longer here. I'm talking a tiny little fraction. So I'm just going to move around like so and push the head forward. Now we're cutting from a 90-degree angle. We're not cutting down anymore. What we're going to be doing is pinching the hair that you want to cut. As you can see, my hip is as close to the client's hair as possible of where I'm cutting. So we're going to pinch the hair that we want. Get the comb in your right hand and scoop the hair out at a 90-degree angle, whilst keeping my chest up and chin up as much as possible before I cut. The comb goes into your left hand, and as you can see, the comb is coming towards you, whilst your knuckles on your right hand are towards the floor. You don't want to make the mistake of going against yourself, because that's going to be quite uncomfortable. So just come with the comb and the teeth towards you, scoop out, and then you can see exactly where you want to cut. And then move along like so. Try and keep your posture positive at all times and come through like that. The body position is really, really important, because you're going to be dealing with your clients. If you're busy, or when you're busy, you're going to be cutting hair for hours at a time, and you don't really want to sacrifice your posture whatsoever. We've identified that the right side is longer. We've now corrected it. I'm now going to show you how to transition from the back panel into the right side panel. Comb the hair towards you with your right hand. With your left hand, you want to hold the hair down, which you're not cutting. That will be your first section out of 6 on your right side panel. This is why it's important to make sure that the length of the back panel is correct before you move on to the right panel. You've now combed the hair into position. You've identified the hair under tension. Now you need to match in the hair from the right hand side, just like so. Now that you're happy with the first section, you can now move up 6 times towards the top of the head. This is now section number 2. You're just repeating the same process over and over. But now your guide is from the first section. Once you understand the process, you can get into the flow. Section number 3. Comb your hair all the way back. Section number 4. Comb the hair all the way down. Nice and flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lovely. Once you're happy with the 6 sections that you've just cut on the right hand side panel, you want to check the sweepback style, make sure that it sits in correctly, and then you can move on to your left panel. Right, now we're going to wet down your client's hair again. Make sure that their hair is nice and wet. So now what you want to do is comb the hair all the way back. Have your finger and your thumb ready to direct the comb. This is how you match in the sides to the back. The comb is separating from where my thumb is, and that'll be your first section. It's the same thing. What you want to do is go up 6 times on the side panels. Want to get the hair out of the way, comb the hair all the way back. Do a nice thin sections. So I'm holding on to the hair here, then just get the hair out of the way and carry on. We've now moved our way over to the left panel and we're just working our way up through the 6 sections, just repeating the same process as we've done on the right hand side, this time just on the left hand side. You're happy with the left panel, we're now going to move on to the top. However, we're going to have to cross check everything before we move on. Before we check the back and sides, I'm going to show you guys how to tie up the top, which is really important that you get that tension. There's a certain process of doing so, and then it just helps you gauge exactly where you are in the haircut without getting confused. What you want to do is use the teeth of your comb and comb all the way back. So use the top tooth of the comb facing to the left and drive it. Have your fingers ready, just how we do with a comb over parting. Hold down the hair with your left hand, comb your hair down on the right hand side. So that'll be your first section. Then you want to comb the hair into the top of the head. And where the hair is really wet, that will stay as is for now. Also at the back here, drive the comb nice and flat at the back, and same thing. Use your left hand to hold the hair out of the way, comb the hair down, and then turn your client and face the left hand side. If your client's in the chair, you could just spin the chair around. If not, if you haven't got a barber chair at this stage, then all you do is just work your way around to the other side. So I'm holding my client's hair with my left hand and I'm using the comb one-handed now, and we're going back. So I'm trying to identify a nice line from the hairline back towards the crown. And to do that, you need to loosen the tension. The neater your sections, the better. And then just let the hair drop into position whilst holding the hair in the left hand. And then you can see the line there. Comb the hair down and then put your comb down. And you want to get tension. So all I'm doing now is making sure that all of the hair on top of the head is in my hands. And you want to start twisting. So I've got my right palm facing down, holding the hair in place, and I'm starting to twist with the left hand now. And the key to keeping the hair out of the way is twisting and keeping it really tight at the base, okay? Then you want to spin it on itself, hold it down with your right hand and get your clips ready. I've got 2 clips here. Then we can focus on cross-checking our sections. So there's 1 clip, and then we'll put the second clip in straight through where the tension is, and then that way all the hair is going to be out of the way. We've completed the back and the sides. As you can see, it's all sitting in nice, but just as a procedure, as part of the process, before we start cutting down the top, you have to remember your client's point of view is different to yours. There's 2 reasons, really and truly, why we keep on checking through the haircut. Just to make sure that we're on progress and we're not losing sight of what we're trying to achieve. So we need to make sure that the back and sides are nice and even. How we do that is running your fingers down through the length in its natural position. Then you can really get a feel for what side is longer and if you need to take any length or weight out. Right, so now we've identified that the right hand side is a little bit longer, no problem. So same thing, we're just repeating how we cut the sides through earlier. And then what we want to do is just take the edges off. Just repeat the same process. Just cut through literally 2 mil. This makes all the difference to the end product. Just the same thing, keeping the hair in the natural position. It may seem tedious at the start, but you just have to master the basics, and all you're doing is getting in the reps and improving your craft. This is section number 3. Well, now that the back and sides are nice and even, we're going to start the top by doing a middle parting. So just repeat the process, bring the comb all the way back. Brush the hair to the right. You want your comb nice and flat against the head so that you can get loads of hair when you comb it through. And then I'm now going to show you how to cut down the top and match it in. We're going to cut down the fringe last, just to get into good habit. So to match in the back and the sides, we're going to leave the fringe, so literally comb that out of the way. You've got 3 sections here, 1, 2, 3. So we want to go on the side, and this section is where you could see the guide. So that's the guide. And all we're going to do is match it in. It's really important to see the angle that we're getting. About 110 degrees, and then just work your way up. We're going to work our way from the front of the head to the back of the crown with nice neat sections. And then you're working your way around like so. Now we're going to be moving more towards the centre of the head. As we move up, the second section needs to be roughly 130 degrees. You need to use your guide from the previous section to know where you are. And then the right side is nearly done. This is why it's really important to make sure the back and the sides are done correctly, and everything else just falls into place. And then the last angle I'll show you now is upright, which is 180 degrees. You see the guide there. Now we're going to connect the left side, but we're just repeating the same process as we have on the right hand side. Same thing, so just pinch the hair on the left side. You can see where the guide is, just behind the fringe as well. On the left hand side, that's the 90-degree angle done. Then you need to move on to your 130-degree angle, and then you need to finish off with your 180-degree angle on the left hand side. So you're just repeating the same process that we've done on the right hand side, and then you can move on to the finishing touches. Now I'm in position. I've opened up my body so that the scissors in my right hand are nice and close to the area that I'm cutting, and my right hip is also very close as well, so that you're not straining. Keep your posture up, and then just point cut to make it nice and smooth. Basically just straighten out that little tweak along the hairline. And before you get carried away, just take a step back, double check your work. So we just fixed that and smoothed it out of the hairline. Now, if you look at the centre of the haircut, I can now see how it sort of dips in the middle a little bit. So all we're going to do is just refine it by point cutting. Have your blade sitting on the back of their neck, and you want to point cut with your thumb. Just let your thumb do all the movement. All we're doing now is literally getting your hair into the final style of how they're going to wear it. Just combing out at the bottom and just point cutting and refining all of the details. Okay, there you go. If you want to remove some weight there, what you can do is pick up the section, and if you need to, just chip into the weight sitting on top of the guide. When I say chip into, I literally just mean running your scissors over your fingers just to cut the loose hairs. All we're doing now, we're going into the detail of how the neckline's sitting in. Comb the hair out of the way, ever so slightly. Now that we've completed the scissor cut, I'm going to show you how to style in this particular haircut. Now, if they have dark hair and they want the wet look, I would simply spray their hair down, and I would use a cream or a pomade, rub it in your hands and then just comb it through so you get it nice and wet. You get the pomade in your hands or the cream, rub it in, get it right into the root. Yeah, don't be scared to get right into the root of your client's hair. That way you can really manipulate how the hair is going to sit. Like so. Then just comb it all through with the smaller comb. And then get your wide tooth comb. You could start to see the layers and how it sits in. Okay. And that right there is looking very powerful, very sharp, good to go. Get all those layers in there. Because we've done really neat sections throughout, you can now see the movement in the hair. And that's the look that everyone's going for. And then just finish off with hairspray. Say this was the hairspray, you just want to cover their eyes and work the hairspray in so that it's nice and even. You don't really want to make the mistake of spraying the hairspray too close, because then what will happen is when it's too close it will start to drip and then it will form as wax on their head, which won't look good at all. Or if you want to style the hair in for a dry look, get yourself a salt spray and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sprays into your hand, rub it in, get right into the root. I'm not putting the salt spray or the pomade on or any products on the doll's head, because I need to keep on cutting the doll's head. But I'm just showing you how to style it in. Okay, so you massage it right in, comb it all through so that the product is nice and spread throughout. Get it into style. Now, what we can do is just dry it in. That salt spray is going to give it a nice hold, ensuring that the style just stays in with the look that we're going for. I'm going to be using a round head brush by Denman. I personally think Denman have got the best brushes on the market. I'm now holding the hairdryer in my right hand and I'm directing the hair into the style that I'm going for. To help with this process, I'm holding the brush in my left hand to get the hair into its final position. I also like to use my fingers whilst drying the hair. I like to pinch and stroke the hair into position just to finesse the style that we're going for. Now that the hair is dry, yet again, we're just going to see how the hair sits in, just evaluate. And now what I can see, ever so lightly, is a bit of a weight line. So I can see a bit of a weight line coming through here. And all that is that the fringe, because we cut the fringe last, there's a bit of a weight line. All we need to do, I'll show you how to fix that weight line now. Big hop, the fringe start in the middle. And as you can see, the fringe is slightly longer than the rest. So what happens is when the hair lays down, that weight there and that difference in length just sits on top, causing it to be a little bit heavy. So all we need to do is to chip into that and just add a little bit of texture. You could see that the fringe is slightly thicker and darker. So just come through like that, literally chip into that and add some texture. Okay. Same thing here. Yeah, again, these are the details that people won't be willing to do. But to get a different output, we have to do a different input. And then all that's going to do is just soften that weight line ever so slightly. It's just repeating the same sections as before and just chipping into it This is another way for you to texturize your scissor work. So all you're doing is running the comb down like so, and just running the scissors through like that. We're just together now. So your left hand combs the hair down, and then your right hand just cuts through ever so slightly. And that just emphasizes the layers. All right? Before you get carried away, just keep on double checking how the hair sits in. I would also put a little bit of fibre or cream in just to finish off. But as you can see, that right there is a scissor cut. So well done for completing the first module. You've got this to keep now, so just keep on going over it. What you put in is what you get out. The main thing about this module is just understanding exactly how you complete a scissor cut and go from there.